It is another player signing edition here as we kick off September, the final full month before Cyclones hockey is back into full swing. And a new face will be joining the Clones here this fall. Dakota Betts, the youngest signing so far, just 21 years of age, straight out of the OHL in Niagara with some jerseys and other Ice Dogs memorabilia in the background. Dakota, as I said, before we started recording, you got the better background than me. But more importantly, maybe just as important, what are you doing this summer? What's keeping you busy as we will grow to learn more about you here coming to Cincinnati?
Yeah, just basically in the summer, I just have a little job I work, a little bit of construction landscaping. And then I just on the off, I train, I go on the ice a couple times a week and going to the gym, the fitness garage in Whitby there for about 4 or 5 times a week. So that's basically a little bit of golf too here and there.
I think what's interesting, and fans don't know this, but whatever, we'll peel the curtain back. Like this interview was kind of tough to schedule because you're blue collar, man. Like you work hard. You mentioned construction. You're busy. What are your shifts? Like 12-hour shifts?
Yeah, so usually during the week I work 5 days a week, and I work usually from 6:30 to 6 o'clock, and then I'll go to the gym after, and then after it's a pretty long day for me. It's mostly I just have my routine every day. I go to work, gym, and then I skate after. Usually, pretty long day, but I get through it, and it helps me a lot for sure.
So, I mean, you're talking about a pretty long day. We've got the hours of 6 to 6 or 6:30 that you're working. I mean, when do you wake up? 4 or 5 a.m. And then when you're finally done skating and working out, I mean, what time of the day is it?
Well, in the morning, I usually wake up. I have my alarm set around like 5:30. I wake up, eat, and I'll drive to my work's usually like a half an hour drive to work. So I give me that time to eat and then go to work. But then after, usually if I skate or go after the gym, usually I'll eat, come home, shower, and then pretty much straight to bed almost. It's probably around 10 o'clock, 10:30 every night. So yeah,
It what's funny too is that your stats, which we'll get into, and we'll talk about hockey, but it models blue collar. I think if you look at the old school hockey and the guys that fight and they get the penalty minutes, you always think, oh, they're the blue collar guys. And of course, there you are, and you kind of have that reputation. You get a decent amount of penalty minutes. You will drop the gloves. You're not afraid to do that. And there you are, putting the muscle to work in the summer with construction. I mean, you're like the mold of the old school hockey player.
for sure. Yeah, I get that a lot. And construction in the summer definitely helps. It's kind of like working out twice a day, going to work all day. It's pretty hard on the body. I go to the gym after, so I'm in a right shape, but it definitely helps out for sure.
What the other thing that sticks out to me is you got to have a hell of a work ethic to do what you do, and maybe that's why you were given a letter in Niagara. This past season, you were an alternate captain for the Ice Dogs in the Ontario Hockey League. Led the team with 93 penalty minutes. I think your next buddy was about 40 behind you. So, tell us as we're talking a little bit about who you are off the ice and you being blue collar. What about on the ice? How would you describe? Because there's going to be fans that are going to see bets on the back of a jersey for a Cyclones jersey that they've never seen before. So, to those fans that will watch you for the first time, Dakota, how would you describe your game?
A little bit of hard defense here and there, and then I also could step up and bring some offense to the game too. In Niagara, what I was expected, I was basically a walk on to the OHL, and they saw from camp, they just saw like the physicality and just like being involved and engaging in some of the physical play. And you know what, like most of the time, I didn't really like fighting, but I would definitely step up for my team when it needed to be done, and I protect my guys. I'd be a leader for them, and just like the hard play, that's what my coaches liked, and that's what I provided for the team, and all the guys respected for sure.
A rookie who was maybe 24, 25 years old. They had gone through junior, waited till they aged out at 20, and then went to a 4-year university. For you, you're taking a different path. It's not foreign. Sean Allen on the Cyclones did the same thing. What for you made, I guess, what was the reasoning behind this decision? Is there any talk with parents or family to say that, right now for me, I think the best step is to go pro and not go to school in the interim?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, just what I thought. I talked with my agent and my parents. I thought the best thing for me would probably just jump into pro hockey, and like the way that I play and the way I progress and become a better player is definitely playing with better talent. And when I play with that better talent, it makes me a better player, and it helps me progress my game a lot better too. So I think going pro hockey at a young age would definitely help me, and definitely try to get me to the next level and keep growing up as much as I can. So
So another thing I want to know is, and we ask this with the new players, is how do you become a Cyclone? Now, looking at your resume again, it's relatively small just because of how young you are. You haven't been to a lot of different spots. Before the OHL, there was Whitby. You mentioned you're working out there still. That's an OJHL spot for you. I know both coaches, Alex Bezerra and Jason Payne, have ties to the Ontario Junior Hockey League. Is that where the connection is? Is there something else, or was this as simple as maybe not you knowing them, but your agent having a connection?
yeah, for sure. I mean, those guys have a past in the OJ, and they definitely probably heard my name before and stuff. But Jason, actually, I knew him through a kid on my team last year. And I got in contact with him, and we've been talking. And I talked to a couple other teams, but just like the way that I was talking to Jason seemed like it was a close connection, and the way that we talked, it was just I just seemed like a pretty good fit for me, and coming down there, I think it'd be a good spot for me to play. So.
It, I love when guys say that there were other options because it's the honesty of the business, right? And let's I guess put that straight is that hockey is a sport. It is a business, and your agent is there to try and do what's best for business for Dakota Betts. So when you have those conversations, I think what you're looking for is, especially in your first professional season, where is the right fit that I'm going to be able to not only play my game, but continue to build on my game, right? I mean, what are the kind of questions, I guess, that you ask yourself when it comes to making a big decision like this?
Yeah, there's a couple of other teams that said that I'd fit in pretty good, but I just think like the trust and talking to Jason, and you seem like a pretty good guy, and seems like a pretty good city to play in, and I'd fit in pretty good on the D side, and I just got to prove myself, and that's pretty much all I've done my whole career is just prove myself. Getting drafted in the under 18 draft, not even getting drafted in the regular OHL draft, and to Kitchener. I didn't fit in there, so I found a spot in Niagara to play and went and proved myself at camp, and they loved me right away. And I ended up playing some pretty big minutes for them, pretty solid situations, and that's pretty much what I've done my whole life is just prove myself. Because I've never really looked at as like one of the top players. I guess my younger minor hockey team. We didn't have the best team growing up, but you just had to make yourself stand out in any way you could. And even last year, I just the hard physical game. A lot of people loved it. I played as physical as I could. I put up a little bit of points on the D side, and that's what people love. So I just got to prove myself, and then I'll definitely hopefully have a good season here.
You talk about the OHL, and a few minutes ago, you said how you were pretty much a walk on. Anybody that knows Major Junior knows that that is a league that kind of just breeds NHL talent. You see a lot of first round picks come out of the OHL, and to be a walk on, I mean, that's tough, but you kind of just said it there, how I guess this is something you've dealt with your whole life, and you kind of play into that underdog role. There's got to be a motivation there, a mentality too. I don't know if it comes just completely internally. Is it from parents? Is it from a coach? What kind of drives you to continue to, I guess, prove the doubters and the naysayers wrong?
When I didn't get drafted, I kind of looked at it. I was a little bit heartbroken in the sense, but I used it as motivation a little bit. Even talking to my dad, he's been my biggest supporter pretty much my whole life, and they talked to me and they said like like you can use it as motivation and you can move forward, or you can just let it go and just move on with your life and quit hockey. And I was like, oh well, I've been doing this my whole life, pretty much been a job for me my whole life, so I just gonna keep going at it, and I did. I used it as motivation, and I just ended up getting a spot there in Niagara after I played junior A in Whitby. So yeah, that's basically all that happened.
Earlier, you mentioned how, I guess you never necessarily viewed yourself as a fighter. And look, you weren't racking up, 500 penalty minutes, but you had 93 in about 60 games this year. At what point in your career did you kind of, I guess, maybe pivot to that role? I mean, is that a role? And now, especially going into pro, like the ECHL has it, Cyclones had like 40 fights in 72 games last season. So this team can mix it up. Is that a role that you're kind of looking to continue? You mentioned points, and that's the other thing. You did put up 33 points last season. Like that's not a small number for your position and the minutes you're given. Um, is that another layer of your game that you think gets peeled back professionally?
Yeah, I guess some people might look at it that way, but like I just do whatever I can for my team. If someone needs to step up or answer the bell, I mean, I will 100%, but I don't look at myself as a fighter. I just look at myself as just a hockey player. That's just how I always looked at the game of hockey. It was just a rough game, and I knew that fighting was involved. And you know what? I just do whatever I can to stand up for my teammates, and if I definitely step up and help them out any way I can. So yeah, I don't think myself as much as a fighter, but I definitely will just mix it up here and there.
Well, I think one thing that I would call you a fighter for, and I would call anybody that went through it for, is how about COVID? I think it's impossible to not talk about that, and your stats will show you did not get to play a major junior game for the 2020-21 season. Um, Everybody has a different story when it comes to this, and it is still relevant to talk about. So, even going back to spring of 2020, when you were in your first season in the OHL with the past team that you were with Niagara. You know, what happened? When did it all come down for you? And then at what point, as a guy who, like you said, hockey is almost a job, like it's your livelihood, it's what you have done for so long. How hard is it to be away from the game for so long?
Yeah, it's definitely for sure. It definitely hurt a lot of us. And my route to it was just basically at the end in there, all this COVID stuff started happening. Then our league ended up getting shut down. I got sent home. I'm going, geez, I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Like if this keeps continuing and there's no hockey for another 2 years, like like I might be done. Like I just my whole hockey career might be over. And so basically I started working a job in a factory for a little bit. I ended up working there the whole time and I was thinking, just hoping the whole time while I was still training, going to the gym and skating and stuff, I'm hoping like, I hope I can get to go back the next season because so I can at least prove myself a little bit more because losing that year of COVID was just like it hurt a lot of guys, hurt me especially. Like like you could have things could have ended up way different. Like you could have got more looks and stuff like that in that year. You could have helped yourself a lot more, but yeah, it definitely hurt me a lot. I just worked, and then we finally got to go back for my 20-year-old year. Thank God for that. And then yeah, it just kind of went from there. It definitely hurt me and it hurt a lot of guys.
As difficult as it could have been to deal with it, how nice, as we are nearing the end of this conversation, how cool was it though to come back and not only be, I imagine just overwhelmed with joy, maybe even some disbelief, like, wow, this is really back. How cool is it on one fold to have that, and then also to come back to a team that you hadn't played for now in over 12 months, and they tell you that you're going to wear a letter.
Yeah, I know it was a big honor for sure. And coming back after COVID, like the fans were really antsy to get back in the building. It was pretty high intense. It was fans were really good to us last year. It was the crowd playing with all the guys again, all my brothers. It was just a unreal feeling and for having the trust in the coaches and the players to put an A on my jersey was a real honor. And then I guess worked out that our captain leaving and all the guys and the coaches they had trusted me to put me as a captain and I basically just led the team and just there for them any chance I could be and it was just an unreal feeling to be there.
I think it's awesome too. And it also speaks to the fact that now you, in your program, not only do you bring skill, you bring a little bit of size, you bring youth, but you bring some leadership because you've now played a role like that, which is so important. Last thing we'll ask before we let you go, Dakota, is you talk about the crowd and how antsy they were to get back. The crowds in Cincinnati at Heritage Bank Center are unreal. I promise you that. You're going to love it. There's 8, 9, 10, sometimes more than 10,000 people in the building here. So what about Cincinnati? We've talked about how it's the right fit. We've talked about the conversations with Jason Payne. But outside of that, have you done a little bit of research on the city? You're coming to a pretty cool spot in the ECHL too. I mean, maybe I'm biased, but like there's 28 teams in the league. A heck of a lot worse places to be when it comes to having a day off.
Sure.
Getting to be in Cincinnati, Ohio. I mean, how excited are you to be in this environment and around this fan base and around this city?
Yeah, I'm really excited for sure. I've been through Cincinnati a couple times. One time I was playing baseball, I went down to Kentucky and I went and I noticed that that the Reds stadium's right beside the arena. And then
Yep.
you have the Bengals, and I also watch NFL and MLB too. And I know that Cincinnati is a really good city, and I saw that they had a really good fan base too. So, if I have a day off or whatever, I'd definitely try to catch a football game or something like that. And there's definitely a lot of stuff to do, and I thought it'd be a really good place to play. So, really excited to come down and be a Cyclone.
Let's find out. Baseball or football? You mentioned it. We're right there. Reds, Bengals. Obviously, you know which team's more successful of late. But if it's your choice, what are you going to? A Bengals game or a Reds game?
Probably Bengals game. I haven't been to a football game like ever, and not an NFL
Oh,
game. So that'd be a first for me. I've been to a lot of Jays games up here, up in Canada. So, yeah, I definitely try to get a Bengals game. And if I could, if the Reds, if they end up making the playoffs or whatever, I don't know if that's in the picture or not right now, but
not
uh, def-
quite.
it'd definitely be nice to catch a Red.
Well, I will say their schedule did come out, and we have a day off on what is Reds opening day. And I will tell you, a lot of the guys that went last year have a blast. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely want to come out and catch a game. That'd be awesome.
Well, fans are looking forward to catching games where they get to see you do your thing, Dakota. Again, that is going to do it for this edition of Mini Chirps. It's our newest player signing, the young 21-year-old Dakota Betts. He'll be at Heritage Bank Center when the Cyclones have their first face-off. Season kicks off October 22nd, but October 29th is the home opener at HBC in downtown Cincy. You can go to cycloneshockey.com to get your tickets. Bettsy, at least that's what I was told the nickname is, right?
Yeah, that's what they call me, Betsy. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Bettsy, good to talk to you, man. Great catching up and great getting to learn a little bit about you. I'm sure the fans love it too. And we look forward to seeing you here next month for the start of Cyclones hockey.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to come down.